In this video, we're gonna compare the most expensive versus the cheapest Pixel 6 Pro versus the Pixel 5a 5G. Probably the biggest difference between these two phones is gonna be the price. We're talking 900 bucks for the 6 Pro, only 450 bucks for the Pixel 5a. So yeah, you could buy two of the Pixel 5a's for the price of the Pixel 6 Pro. So just by the price alone, I think most people are gonna think these two wouldn't even be a close comparison. After the Pixel 5a got updated to Android 12, I was actually pretty surprised at how similar it looked and felt when comparing it to the Pixel 6 Pro. You're even going to get a lot of the same features that you get on the Pixel 6 Pro on the cheaper 5a. Now you're not going to get the magic eraser or motion options in the camera app on the cheaper 5a, but you're still going to get a lot of the cool features like call screening of all those spam calls and automatic captioning as well. You can also double tap on the back of the phone to take a screenshot. You're also going to be able to control when apps can access your microphone and camera, just to name a few. The fingerprint scanners are a little bit different on these two. It's built into the screen on the Pixel 6 Pro versus the older style fingerprint scanner on the back of the Pixel 5a. I feel like the fingerprint scanner on the Pixel 5a is maybe a little bit faster, a little bit more reliable, but the 6 Pro has gotten better through software updates. There's a lot of other small things that are going to be different between these two. You're only going to get one color option with the Pixel 5a, but you get a 6.3-inch flat display on the Pixel 5a 5G, 6.7-inch curved display on the 6 Pro. You'll get Quad HD on the 6 Pro versus only 1080p on the 5a, but both are OLED panels and look really nice in person. The Pixel 6 Pro has a 120Hz refresh rate and is higher resolution than the Pixel 5a, but surprisingly the screen brightness is about the same because of the smaller screen on the 5a. Some people are going to prefer that over the 6 Pro just because it's easier to handle. As far as cameras go on these, you're going to get 4K 60 frames per second for video on both of these phones. There's a few differences in the cameras, such as 11.1 megapixel front-facing camera versus 8 megapixel on the 5a. You also get a 48 megapixel telephoto lens on the 6 Pro and up to a 50 megapixel main camera. You also get a 12 megapixel ultra wide on the 6 Pro, but you get a 16 megapixel ultra wide on the 5a. And then you only have a 12 megapixel main camera on the Pixel 5a. Even though you think the cameras would be a lot better on the 6 Pro, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised what kind of photos you can get from the cheaper Pixel 5a. I mean, sure, the Pixel 5a takes a little bit longer to process the images, but just take a look at some of these samples here just to give you an idea of what to expect from each phone. In my opinion, I feel like Pixel phones definitely take some of the best photos out there. You can see the cheaper Pixel 5a definitely blurs the background a little bit more than the 6 Pro. But I don't know, sometimes I like that depending on what the situation is. But I think most people are gonna like photos on either phone. I mean, these are some of the easiest phones to just point and shoot. And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get a really good photo. I'll let you guys decide which you think is better as far as video. I don't think either phone is going to be as smooth as an iPhone or even Samsung, but they're definitely better than they've been in the past. I did 4K at 60 frames per second just to see how choppy they are. And yeah, I feel like both could be a little bit smoother. Overall though, not too bad. Pretty decent options for video, just not going to be the best out there. Another thing that's going to be pretty similar on these phones is going to be battery life. You've got a 5003 milliamp hour battery on the 6 Pro, 4680 milliamp hour battery on the 5A 5G. But even though it has a smaller battery, I actually got 12.5 hours battery life on the 5A versus only 11.5 hours on the 6 Pro. I know for my usage, I was able to get through the entire day using either phone, and really it's hard to beat the battery life on these two. Although you only get wireless charging on the 6 Pro, good thing is both have fast charging. Now, believe it or not, the speakers on the cheaper phone sound pretty similar to the more expensive one. So in my opinion, I don't think you're gonna really miss much as far as speakers go if you choose the cheaper Pixel over the more expensive one. They both sound pretty good, not the best out there, but I think most people are gonna be satisfied with how the speakers sound on both phones. It's probably hard to tell from these samples, but I feel like the speakers are actually louder on the cheaper Pixel 5A. One of the biggest differences is going to be performance. You get a Snapdragon 765G processor on the Pixel 5A, the new Tensor processor on the 6 Pro, and just looking at the Geekbench scores, yeah, the Pixel 6 Pro is about twice as fast or powerful as the 5A, but really that's a little misleading when you're just talking about day-to-day use and how the software feels when using it. Sure, the Pixel 6 Pro is going to be quite a bit better on gaming than the 5A, but again, I think most people are going to be surprised at how good the Pixel 5A 5G is at gaming. Everything runs nice and smooth during my testing, and sure, the 5A gets a little bit hotter than the 6 Pro, but nothing that makes it unusable. But hopefully this video gives you a little closer look when comparing the Pixel 6 Pro and the Pixel 5A 5G. If you want the Google experience that the Pixel 6 Pro has, but you only want to pay half as much, I think it's pretty obvious to recommend the Pixel 5A 5G.
So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.